So why do so many men feel lost, stuck, or disconnected in today's world? This is about diving deep into purpose. Fabian, welcome to the show. What inspired you to focus on men's work?
Well, it's a process of about 10 years illness, a cancer journey. It's due to, I would say, the lack of men in the field. We live today in a society which is highly favoring external accomplishments. The moment you open up that social media feed, right, or the moment you do this drug, this line of cocaine, or you drink alcohol, for the moment you're like, with addictions, it goes up and it goes down. And then you just build this world of addictions inside of you.
I heard this concept about that we're living in a dopamine prison.
If you don't have at least 6 months of payments, you're going to have a sense of nervousness and anxiety.
And how can a woman help a man?
A woman can challenge the man to really lead from the heart. Because a man, in his absolute power, will also be the best man for the woman in the relationship. This is a topic that we're all scratching our heads, like, what the fuck is going on?
So why do so many men feel lost, stuck, or disconnected in today's world? Today, we dive deep into men's work and the path to true freedom and purpose. If you've ever felt the pull to become a stronger, more aligned version of yourself, this conversation with Fabian Bolin, co-founder of Soul, is one you can't miss. We'll explore the challenges men face today, the breakthroughs waiting on the other side, and practical tools you can use to design a better life. So we're going beyond surface level discussions here. This is about diving deep into purpose, connection, and what truly means to be a man in today's world. Fabian, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Morgan. Thank you for inviting me, and also wonderful introduction. Felt a lot of power from you there.
Thank you. I'm really curious about your journey into founding Soul. So what inspired you to focus on men's work? Because I know from reading your bio that you've been like a really successful entrepreneur. So why men's work? And what's your journey into founding Soul?
Yeah, well, it's a process of about 10 years of doing work on myself and beginning to look inwards into, usually called my inner journey, right? And it started about 10 years ago. I went through a illness, a cancer journey, which took me through quite a long treatment of about 900 days of chemotherapy. So was a big one for me. Before that, I studied business school and I went to London to work in investment banking for a few years. And I had actually shifted away from working in banking and was working in the field of acting and film. Which I thought at the time was a passion, but which wasn't. It was just another way for me to try and find a way to be seen and heard. But all that came to a halt when I went into the journey. And the journey really took me through a deep introspection where I began to ask the questions, what's really going on in life? Like, where am I headed? Why is it that I chase something that I don't really know what it is? And what is it that I believe that I will gain there? And not having any answers to any of these questions made me quite curious. So it then took me into looking at myself. And in the first few years, it took, I would say, quite a general way, which I believe most people do when they begin to explore these concepts. I was looking into meditation, mindfulness, and started reading a lot. The typical books like Eckhart Tolle, Michael Singer. The very good foundational layers to give you an understanding. And over the years, I began to advance into this work, started going to different retreats, ceremonies, and learn more about the different ways that a person can do to find oneself. And I think it was about 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I first came in touch with men's work. I had heard about it, but I hadn't explored it myself. And my first time ever was actually through Mankind Project. Well, that's not actually true. I was invited to a men's circle as my first step. So I came together with a bunch of men that I had not met before, and we started sharing. And in this, we met once a week out in nature. We made up a fire, and it was just the most beautiful way to connect with men and find so much similarities and understanding, and also, really, really a common foundation. And there I first got in touch with it, and I then went to Mankind Project, which is an organization that has been going since the 80s. They have this training called New Warrior Adventure Training, where they take men through a proper like initiation ritual, which is a lot of it is built around surprise. I'm not going to go into much of it, but walking around, naked in the forest and blindfolded, and just to give you a hint on all the things. And what they're doing is that they're building upon really a lot of what the ancient tribes did in order to initiate boys into manhood. So you get to experience that, and that was really, really powerful as experience. And after that, I began to, as I was going through cancer, I built a company called War on Cancer, which is a health company connected to mental health for people going through cancer. So I was working with this, and I learned a lot about, it was a very entrepreneurial journey. But around this time, around men's work, I began to feel like that part of my journey was over, and I now wanted to use my entrepreneurial knowledge and skills and bring that into the field of personal development, where I saw that it's relatively outdated. The way it's worked here, a lot of it is analog. You go to a retreat and there's you and 5 other people or 10 other people. And in my world, and from where I come, it's like, why is this that I've experienced? Why is that not reaching millions? Because clearly I just saw what it's done to myself, how much it's helped myself to gain a sense of peace inside of me, clarity, vision, and a sense of purpose and meaning. And for the first time ever in my life, since the last 4 or 5 years, I feel connected to myself. So I wanted to bring my knowledge and skill into this, and so I then looked at men's personal development as a specific tool, because what I've noticed as well in the field of personal development is that since the majority of people traditionally has been women working in or doing work on themselves like this, a lot of the experiences are shaped towards the psyche of a woman. So you usually hear things like surrender, acceptance, flow, love, and all of those qualities, although being amazing, are felt a bit one-sided. And you also see a lot of men who are in this field that they have become relatively fluid. They're quite flowy in their way they are. You have your guy who is like very like much in the being and speaks a lot about stillness and being, but there is a lack of drive, lack of sense of, okay, let's build, let's create a better world, leadership, vision, direction. A lot of that has been missing, and it's due to, I would say, the lack of men in the field. So I said, let's build something here. Let's do it properly. Let's build something that will take a man really into himself and into his personal development journey. So I came together with Daniel Miller, who was previously working with a company called Hale, which is the leading breath center. So his breath work comes from the breath work background. And he had been thinking as well about building something which is more holistic, because that is one of the other things which Soul, what we have created, is a training where a person gets to look at all of his life instead of just looking at something very niche. Because looking at something niche, like, okay, I do my physicality, I go to a personal trainer, I go and meditate, and I work on my spirituality. But there's and all of these are great, but and you get cool experiences from it. But it's quite difficult to get a full picture of what it is to be alive. So we said, what can we create something where a person gets to actually experience all of life, the entire inner world, as well as the entire outer world? And we set out on that as our vision, and that then became the creation of Seoul and the training programs, which are what we're now working with. And I mean, I can continue already just explaining more about it, but maybe you want to come in if you have any comments.
Yeah, like what sticks out from this, like super interesting that you are seeing like how like regular retreats. I remember when I was 20, I was the only guy reading naturopathic medicine here in Stockholm. I was like the only dude, and I was 20. Uh, then going into meditation retreats, whatever it had to do with personal development, it's like you say, it was mostly women. So I've been lacking, like encountering or find. It's been a long journey to find men, but now I found my tribe where my friends also are into personal development. They are here to improve themselves. So this is like really needed. I want like men's group to just like pop up everywhere like mushrooms all over the world. I think that would be beneficial for us. But you who have met so many men, worked with men, why do you think so many men struggle with purpose and connection in modern society?
Well, I think there are many reasons for it, but the big one is that it's the upbringing, it's the way we're being taught, or I would say the lack of true explanation of what it means to be alive, and especially what it means to be a man. We live today in a society which is highly favoring external accomplishments. And we talk about generating material wealth. We talk about creating, becoming successful, right? What is the idea of success? Well, generally that you have a successful job, highly esteemed, and that you make a lot of money, And those are generally the things that are targeted and communicated. So it's not I don't think it's very strange, that we strive towards it. But what has been completely forgotten today is how, I would say, the story about life and how it really plays together with the inner world and the outer world, and how important it is because what you're talking about is purpose and mission, purpose and meaning in life, to be connected to yourself and what you're doing. To do that and to feel that, you have to do some digging into yourself. Your connection to yourself resides underneath several layers of yourself, which has been built over the course of you growing up, from your parents, from society, from your upbringing, and from overall these ideas that I've talked about. So you have all of these shields that says, this is what I am, this is what I'm supposed to strive towards. And there's almost like this blind there's a lot of blindness in today's society. Yet what And one can also go in and ask, why, how has this been? When did we lose this understanding of what is really life? But there, yeah, and there, yeah, that I would say is the big one, really. The lack of clarity and focus, and the lack of clarity and understanding of how to reach this sense of meaning and purpose, which we all deep down yearn for. And we can continue pretending like we can live like this, but we can then look at the statistics. I mean, the way that life at the moment is portrayed through everybody, where we have massive addictions happening everywhere. If it's not social media, it's addictions to substances, alcohol, drugs, consumption, porn for men specifically. And these addictions are there to soothe us from the fact that we're all lying or we're living a big lie to ourselves. And I think also these addictions play a part because if you look at what an addiction is, it is an attempt to experience something. But the moment you open up that social media feed, right, or the moment you do this drug, this line of cocaine, or you drink alcohol, or whatever it is, for the moment you're like, there's something there happening, but it's not real, so it's pseudo. And as you know, with addictions, it goes up and it goes down. And then it goes up a bit, but not as much. And after a while, you're just addicted to it, but you're not getting it. And then you need to take another addiction. And then you just build this world of addictions inside of you. And I think we're lost. A lot of people are lost. They don't know how to really escape this feeling of emptiness inside of themselves, but they build these layers and layers and layers around themselves, creating a life where they don't actually have to feel it.
I heard this concept about that we're living in a dopamine prison, like that society is a dopamine prison. It really feels like that is what you're talking about. That like we are always like on the search for moving away from the lack or the discomfort that we are experiencing. So, and what I feel that I didn't hear is like when men come to you or join your circle, is there a common theme of what they are saying is the problem? Maybe it's not the actual problem, but what are they thinking or believing is the problem?
Yeah. Well, each man is unique. Each person is unique, but there are definitely a couple of common denominators as we see. So, whoever applies to our programs, they are filling in a form where they talk about their challenges and their dreams. So, we now have data from, I mean, right now there's 140 men in total that have gone through our program. So we have a lot of data on what these men experience, and we're beginning to see some threads for sure. One of them being, like you said, lack of purpose, like lack of real sense of meaning. As a man, your work is going to be highly important to you. What you do in your career is, for most men, especially men in the age of, I'd say 28, 30, up towards 55, 60, that's the time when the man is very productive. So a lot of men do work. A lot of men have gained a lot of material success from their work. They feel wealth, or they're rich or wealthy, but they just don't feel it. They don't feel, they feel slowly that they're wasting away their lives because they don't feel this sense of power in the morning when they wake up. And they're not fueled by life in what they do. So many come to actually find out, what is my real purpose in life? What am I here to do, to gain more clarity there and perhaps insight or direction. And then you have other men who are coming to understand more about relationship. So relationships in general is a big one right now, I would say. What does it mean to be a man in a relationship? What does a relationship mean? We have a lot of people, I mean, since we are, and you can relate, you're from the north as well. In these Nordic countries, we have had a lot of, there's been quite a long period of neutralizing of genders. here as a result of I would say, the movement, the feminism movements. So, which have worked to create it's been really important. I mean, it's worked to create a lot of, equal rights and all of these things. But in this process, there's been collateral damage as well, which is that at the moment there's confusion as to what is a man, what is a woman, and what is a man and a woman in a relationship, and who is responsible for what is motherhood, what is fatherhood, and all of these questions cause a lot of relationships to be relatively stale, quite boring, and very sexless as well. Because if there's no polarity, excitement in the relationships, usually what happens is attraction goes down, and you have a lot of marriages who suffer because if you don't have sex, and not just sex, but good sex in a relationship, you are going to miss something. And then you have the third thing, which is financial freedom. So a lot of men right now are maybe like a lot of men who come to us might have been on their journey for a few years, doing some work on themselves. And they begin to realize that no matter how much you come to this peaceful state inside of yourself, life is life. And the world we've created is the world we've created. There is a high need to have financial stability inside of your life. Financial stability does not mean necessarily like we all have to become billionaires. Financial stability is unique to each and every individual. But there is a few concepts where you can, there's a few sayings like, if you don't have at least 6 months of your, whatever you have in monthly payments, your house cost, your car, whatever it is that you're paying for, if you don't have 6 months of that stored up, just as a buffer, you're going to have a sense of nervousness and anxiety inside of you because you know that you can lose, and you can lose that money, and there is the financial pressure. So a lot of men actually come to understand more about how can I build a financial stability and financial wealth for myself so that I can keep doing this work that I'm doing and not feel super stressed about not being able to pay ends at the end of the day or the end of the month, my rent. So those three. And lastly, I would say emotional richness and wealth. So a lot of men have not been taught how to feel, rather how to we all feel all the time. So emotions, there's this saying, or there's, I think, myth that I don't feel anything. We all feel all the time, but your emotional world is not in harmony inside of yourself. So maybe you're not able to express your feelings in a healthy way. Maybe you're suppressing them or you're acting out on them. And it's really about building more emotional maturity. So those four, I would say, are the main reasons why men come to us.
And in your experience, what are the biggest misconceptions about men's work? Because I've been having like this idea. It's totally bullshit. I know it, but still it's like in the back of my mind that in order to do men's work, you need to take it in the behind. Because I heard them doing that in some tantra circles.
Oh yeah, sounds like the new tantra.
Yeah, exactly.
TNT. Yeah. Yeah, that's something else for sure.
I've been like away from certain men's groups.
Yeah,
I've gotten invited from members that I know are within the TNT. I've never felt the pull for it. But
no.
I just want us to just like shed a light on what are some of the misconceptions about men's work.
Absolutely. So one of the misconceptions are that you have to take it from the behind. Yeah. We are not in that business, and
that's good.
Yeah, but the other things, I think one of the things that a lot of people misunderstand about men's work and men's personal development. We're actually moving away from the word men's work just because it has a lot of connotations. But I hear a lot of people assuming that men's work is a bunch of men sitting in a ring crying together.
Yeah.
like being vulnerable together, like sharing together. And that is actually what's called a men's sharing circle.
Yeah.
So you can have these circles where all you do is that you come together and you meet, and each person gets 30 or like 10 minutes or 15 minutes to just share. This is what's happening in my life, and this is what I'm going through. And all of the other men listen. And then you go around, and then you might do some meditation or some breath work together, but altogether, the sharing circle is the main ingredient of it. And a lot of vulnerability there.
So
And
what would you like to call what you do? So it's not men's work, not men's sharing.
we just say it's personal development for men.
Yeah.
So personal development for men is really doing personal development collectively. So you're doing it in a group. And why we do it only with men is that men have a lot of similarities. We have been, being raised as a boy and being raised as a girl is different. Of course, we have also biological dissimilarities as well. I mean, we have different chromosomes, so we have different biological systems. But also there, beyond that, we also have the programming and, the society's communication towards what a man is, which is today very lacking.
Yeah.
So we
What
do
you're
that as,
saying is a huge trigger warning here. So
oh yeah,
be aware. This is
amazing.
crazy
Yeah,
what we've come to. You saying this is a trigger warning.
I know. And yeah, it is insane that we
Yeah.
come to this, but we are now picking up the ball and restoring more sense of clarity again in this. And I think that's what's called for right now in this time and age.
I think so too.
But then why doing it together? And I think this is one of the biggest, I think, most potent things about doing it as a group, because when you are alone, it's very easy to lie to yourself. So doing personal work is quite a lonely journey. You sit there and you're going to read your books and you're going to meditate, and, you might do some plant medicine ceremonies, and it's all quite a lonesome journey. And you get a lot of cool insights, but it's you versus yourself almost. And I mean, this is a perfect time to talk about this, becoming into the New Year's as well. We come up, we usually get this fire around New Year, and you get these resolutions in, and now I'm going to start hitting the gym and going to stop drinking alcohol or whatever it is you're doing, meditate every day. But if there's no one holding you accountable for what you're doing, what you're saying, then it's very easy to slip out of it, because comfort, and we also live in a time and age where friction is seen as something negative. We are not very much in favor anymore of actually stepping into friction. Rather, we step away from it. We've been curled a lot, especially here in the West, so we don't like friction. We don't think it's nice, right? So after a while, it's like, I've been hitting the gym now 10 days. Maybe I can just give myself one slack day and then two slack days, and then you're back again. So what happens when you have a bunch of men together in a group is that you become this like band of brothers almost, where you communicate clearly to your group, okay, this is what I actually intend to do now. I commit to doing this and that and this and that. And then you have a follow-up. You have guys saying, hey, brother, did you do the things that you say you were going to do? And sometimes you have, and it's like, yeah. And they're like, great. And sometimes you haven't. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, it feels a bit different, because then it's not only you're lying to, it's also the men around you. And you're actually helping to, not helping, you're contributing to bringing down the motivation for the other men as well, when you are not stepping up and showing that you're doing what you're saying you're going to do. So you have this like collective dynamic happening, which is why personal development together is so potent. And it's something that we see. And these groups, I mean, I can tell you a bit about the actual journey, the still
Yeah, please.
100-hour journey. So
Yeah.
it's a 100-hour journey. It's 60 days altogether. And we all meet. This is an online journey. So we meet at 5 a.m. And we go for 90 minutes on a daily basis for 60 days straight, even though weekends is we meet at 6 a.m. In the beginning, we have 5 a.m. in the weekends, but we noticed a certain drop off, because people need some rest as well. And there, during those days, we will over these 8 weeks in total. Then we will go through 8 aspects of wealth, which covers the entire life. So week 1, we go through self-mastery. So we look at what is a human being. You have your physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual dimensions. Okay, cool. What can I do in order to master those? What tools do I have in order to, for instance, access my emotional richness? What tools do I have in order to train my mind to be an ally instead of an enemy towards, myself? Then week 2, we go into relationships. So relationship to self, relationship to others, as well as romantic relationship. Going into sexual polarity. How do I create more sexual fire in the relationship? What is a man? What is a woman? What is a dynamic duo? Then go in week 3, we go into fitness and longevity. So there we give the latest download on anything ranging from physicality, mobility, diet, nutrition, detox, sleep. We're giving basically the blueprint of what you need to do to get yourself start really building your longevity up and creating a life for yourself where your body supports you to do the work. Week 4, we go into purpose, mission, and career. So there we help people to tap into what we're talking about in the beginning, your inner mission, your inner purpose. What am I here to do? What am I here to bring to the world? What is this concept really? What is the difference between purpose and mission? We then go into week 5, looking at economics or personal finances. So also something that I think is highly taboo in the field of personal development is to talk about money. What's your relationship?
For sure.
What's your relationship to money? What is it? What do you really tell yourself about money? Because you can have a lot of money in your bank account and you can have little money on your bank account and you can still have the same relationship to money, that you think that you're in scarcity mindset. I believe that money is not coming to me easily and that I have to defend it with everything that I have. And where did you get that from? Usually from the way your parents talked about it. So we're shifting then the internal perspective towards something where money actually becomes your best friend because it can help you and it can be a tool for you where you can amplify your own energy. And then we, of course, also look at external factors. How do you actually generate money? So going into investments, we're going into how to build a business. We then further go into week 6, we go into mentors and allies. So there we look at the idea of being a mentor to someone, also having mentors, and how important that is, that structure, being mentored and mentoring. And we then help men to step into mentorship. Week 7, we go into life management. So then we've gone through the 6 weeks, and there we really covered the great majority of your life. And then it's about actually looking at, okay, how are you going to get to where you want to go? Who is the man you want to become? So you're here, you want to go here. What is the path? Okay. At the end of the day, we all have the same amount of hours in a day. Yeah. We have X amount of hours that we sleep, X amount of hours that we work, and then you have a few hours remaining. Okay, so if you're stuck in a work somewhere and we need to be there, you got to work with those few hours that you have to begin to make that shift. Okay, what are you going to focus those hours on? And we make a person become very effective. And then the last part is service. And the service week is really one where it all comes together, because ultimately service, if you're not contributing through your own talents and skills towards the betterment of the world, you're never going to find fulfillment, ever. Like it's an integral part of life fulfillment to be of service. So that week is a bit of a mystery week, so we're not going to give out too much of that one. And then it all kind of comes together in a physical retreat as well. So we have one physical retreat, and you can imagine the electricity that comes from being together every day, and then also going in and then meeting each other. beyond that, also before we have the main groups meeting every day, and every day is 90 minutes, where the first 30 minutes is going to be mobility. So mobility and physicality. So we begin with moving our bodies because we want to learn with all of ourselves, not just the mental. And then the remaining hour every day, we have usually a mental concept. We look at something specifically for maybe 15 to 30 minutes, and then we go into exercises around those that specific topic we're looking at within the topic of the week. It can be journaling, breath work, meditation, group sharing, breakout rooms. So we really work with all of we really bring it in, the knowledge. And that is the big overarching layer of this program. You also get divided into a subgroup, which is meeting on a weekly basis. And the subgroup is there for you. It's like your inner circle where you connect. And this group is led by a person who's going in the level 2 training. So I'm talking about the level 1 training. We have 3 levels: level 1, level 2, level 3. It's a total of 300 hours of personal development. And they all basically are around leadership. The first level is about leading yourself. Level 2, level 3 is about leading others. And in those trainings, you actually train your leadership by taking on the new groups coming in. So you train your own leadership skills with them. So it all merges together. And there was this support system structure that we also envisioned that we would build, where we can train leaders who train leaders who train leaders who train leaders. And through this, we will create a new style and set of leaders in the world that are ready to build this world into what it needs to go.
Beautiful. So that process and those areas was really clear. And I would love if you could continue with like sharing a specific success story of one man. You don't need to mention his name or anything, but I love seeing people going from somewhere, and if I can help them to go to somewhere else where they want to go. Can you share one of like a success story?
Absolutely. I mean, we have many, and I think one that is very yeah, one that comes to mind immediately. Is
Makes you
this.
smile to
Yeah,
see
yeah,
that.
yeah. But he's such a.
Beautiful.
Yeah, he came in, and he came in. He was a bit overweight. He was drinking a lot, and had kind of lost his sense of meaning and direction, and also didn't have much of a good connection with his wife. And he came in, and during the course of 2 months, this man, I think it dropped 10 kilos in weight. He quit drinking, he quit nicotine, and he installed several new, basically, routines for himself, where he walks on a daily basis, and has really regained so much fire. You can see it in his eyes. He is a completely shifted individual. And this man is also going with us now in level 2 and level 3. So he is a person that is now really stepping into his leadership fully. And when you speak to him, he's like, "This has changed my life completely." Uh, and something that is often, something that uh, even though we can take credit for building the program, ultimately it's not really about us, right? It's about the people going into it. Because if you think about it logically, if you go in and decide that I'm going to spend 100 hours compact on myself in personal development, a lot of things is going to happen. You're going to level up. So you're leveling. Let's say your life trajectory is like this. All of a sudden, what happens is you just jump, and you also increase the ascension. So you jump and you go like this, which means that it's for everyone. As long as you're committed, it will change your life. It will change your life due to the fact that you are going so much into yourself and stepping into this personal development. Then we have other people who have these amazing stories of being like at the verge of divorcing their woman, and or their wife and feeling lost, and now are at the places where they have deeper love than they've ever felt towards their wife, and a deeper sense of meaning. Uh, and then you have other guys who have come in and completely realized that, okay, they found their purpose through the program, right? So they have realized that, okay, what I'm doing here is not what I'm supposed to be doing. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And through the programs, I've taken like real steps in the direction. It might not be that you throw your entire career out of the window, even though some, I believe, have done that as well. But for most, it's a transitioning phase, right? You know, you begin to see, as long as you know, if you know what you're going to do, it's quite easy, right? It's just about saying, okay, this is what I want to do. I know this is deep inside. This is what I meant to do in my life. Then it's just about building the steps. You know, what is the steps towards where I am right now and where I need to go?
Do you have any issues with men being uncomfortable with a new identity? Like when you spoke about the man, like losing the weight, like his eyes change, like his demeanor change. He has a wife back home that doesn't know what he's going through. Maybe his coworkers are like seeing this new person. His family is like, "Who is this guy?" Like you know what I'm talking about when it
Yeah,
becomes a little bit uh, discomforting for the people around you,
yeah.
and you are like falling back to an old identity because you don't want to like ruffle some feathers within your previous peer groups. So how do you deal with that?
Well, it's a good question, and it happens quite often. Actually, we have a lot of guys whose wives are becoming angry. There's friction happening, right? Because what happens is if one person begins to do the work, it's going to shine a lot of light on the other person. And the other person might not be living to their highest potential, nowhere near. But if you're two in this like cozy misery together, nobody notices, right? But the second one person notices, begins to do the work, it's going to be the same thing happening over and over again. It's like for this other person, transform or die. Like
Yeah.
transform or the relationship dies. And usually, like what we usually have is the opposite direction, where you have a woman who is in a relationship, she's doing the work, and the guy is not following. But women tend to seems to be able to accept it because it's just the way of the world. Right? Men are, playing golf and not going to any meditation retreats. And but in our case, of course, since we only meet men, it's usually the thing. But the men does a lot of work, and it causes friction for some time. And in some cases, I've seen it many times. The woman begins to really step into this, and it's like, what am I? What am I even doing in life? What am I? And then they are going on their journey, and we are actually also further down the line. We're going to be launching CO for women as well. So our ultimate goal is not to work with men forever. We're just starting there because we are men, and men are at the moment, they need a path to step into it. But we were going to be having women as well, led by women, of course. Or at least primarily led by women, and where we have parallel trainings, and then we can put them together and then out again. And this is going to be really exciting. We see a lot of the potential for a couple to go into together, and say, okay, let's do this. Let's commit 300 hours to ourselves, or beginning with 100, and do this work together. We're also
And
hoping to have a Seoul marriage at some point. So two
yeah.
people that are single meeting each other and marrying each other.
Oh, that'd be cool. We got the whole whole scope.
Yeah.
Like I smile a lot because of I've seen videos where men have been away for a long time doing their men's training, and then being received by their women
Mm.
coming back. Like I get goosebumps talking about it. So I really love like how you also gonna do soul for women, led
Yeah.
by women, and I feel that those type of circles also are needed, where women meet and they have like this sisterhood, because we're not going to go like too much into women, but the sense that women can't trust each other. I meet so many women that are mostly like they are really masculine, and they don't have that sisterhood, and they enjoy to be with the men more, and they feel that they can trust men more. And why can't they trust their sisters and fall back into their like feminine juicy essence? So but
Completely.
that was just like a side point. Love what you shared about that. And if someone listening feels stuck, was because like you mentioned purpose, and I'm really curious about like how you can gain that. I hear a baby in the back. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's my 6-month-old. Let's
Yeah,
see if I
let him
can.
cry. It can be in the in the podcast.
Yeah,
It's welcome. We
you sure? Because I can do. I think it's probably noise cancellation here somewhere.
Yeah, you have echo cancellation.
Is that the one? Echo
Yeah.
cancellation?
Yeah.
No, that's just if I hear my echo.
This can't be changed while it can't be changed while recording.
Okay.
But it's cool. I'm
Yeah.
so used. I got 3 kids, so
Got it. Yeah.
I'm like a veteran dad. So, but I wanted to dive deeper into purpose. So, if someone's feeling stuck, what are like the first step they can take today to change their trajectory and like reconnect with their purpose? Because I've
Mm,
been like reading books, listening to podcasts, like really trying to like find, okay, what's my path? Like what am I here to do?
sure. Well, purpose, I think, is a great question, and I think it's one of the biggest questions to ask yourself. What am I here? What am I here to do? What am I? What's the purpose of my existence? And I think the best way to start there is to distinguish between purpose and mission. So a purpose is something that evolves inside of yourself over the trajectory of life. And it's not something you do, it's actually something you be. Yeah. So it's a quality that you are here to radiate when you have evolved. Yeah. So usually your purpose comes to you. I mean, it's a gradual process and you evolve into your purpose. But once it's like fully there, it can be probably 60, 65, 70 years old, right? It could be even older, or it could also happen when you're younger. But it is a quality. So a typical purpose could be peace, for instance. You're here to radiate a sense of peace. You're here to radiate a sense of unity. You're here to, it's like you just being your purpose is your purpose. So it's not something you do. And the journey through life will help you to cultivate this feeling inside of yourself, with this radiance inside of yourself. And then you're just supposed to walk around in life and just like be like inspire people with that purpose. Yeah. So that's purpose. It's one thing you have and it never changes. Then you have mission, and mission is what you do to reach this purpose. So it's your how. If your purpose is your your mission is, okay, how, what do I do with myself that will over time create this purpose inside of myself? So your mission, you usually have many missions over your lifespan, right? So a mission is something that comes and it lives inside of you. A lot of people do the wrong thing. They try to think themselves into their mission, but it actually lives inside of you if you just learn to listen to it. Yeah. And it usually it can have a lifespan of everything ranging for 6 months or 1 month up to 10 years. But at some point it will be exhausted. Yeah. At some point you will feel like, okay, I'm done with this now. What a lot of people do, they're wrong, is that they cling to it, right? Because they've identified with it. It's like, oh, I started building this company 5 years ago, And I felt so much then, I felt it was like alive, was burning, I was waking up. And then, over the course of these years, you begin to fade out, like it wanes out. But you're there and it's like, but oh, I'm this founder, I'm the CEO of this company, so I need to stick there. I need to stay there because this is what I am now. And there you usually go into suffering because you gotta continue. You gotta leave that behind cleanly, like don't cause any damage, but like find a way to exit yourself from that mission. And then usually you go into what's called a vision quests, like a time of silence, and your new mission will come to you. So then how does one find the mission is really the thing. So like I said, thinking about it usually will take you into a slippery labyrinth inside of your mind where it's like, oh, I'm good with this and this was my education, so I should probably do something in this direction. Whereas, yeah, you find it through stillness. So there are a few ways to do it. You can go into long periods of silence. Silent retreats are good. Go out in nature and spend time alone is very important. Then there's actually the vision quests, which are purposely designed for this. I'm actually going on one later this in the spring. So we're going to Norway for 10 days in total, but it's traveling and stuff and it's preparing. But the actual vision quest is 4 days. So we're going to be sitting out in nature, fasting from both water and from food for 4 days, complete meditation. You sit there in silence for 4 days. And through this process, understanding will come. You gain insights, right? And there's also other ways of doing it. I mean, you can work with the plant medicines, and you can go there and have with an intention to understand. Please help me to understand my mission right now. But the general idea is silence and stillness.
I'm curious about this vision quest. So, do you go into the vision quest with an intention, with a question, with that you want something out of it? Because I experienced from when I did my first Vipassana, we were like 11 days hardcore meditation and fasting, intermittent fasting for these 11 days. Coming back out of that experience just made me feel that I didn't want to touch my phone. I didn't want to do social media. I was living in the middle of Stockholm in Södermalm, and I just felt like this stress, which I normally didn't feel. Like it was at Mariatorget and it was springtime and the sun was shining. That like otherwise that would have been like the most epic day of the week when I came back, but it wasn't. It was just like I was just feeling like this, all the energy is like so super stressful, and I didn't get like any purpose from it or any vision. But what I got from it was a deep healing from certain relational issues and traumas when it came to my parents. Like there were like triggers that like really literally just like went away from me. And that was like liberty. It was freedom for me. So how is the vision quest different? And what do you do to prepare for it? Because it feels like you do it, you have a purpose while you're doing it. You want to come out from the vision quest with an answer. What's your mission? What's your purpose? Or can you go deeper on that?
Absolutely. So I haven't done any structured vision quests like this before, so I can only guess. But I would say the big thing is your first of all the intention. The intention is to like the word says, it's vision, right? So it's connected to the future. It's not so much connected to the past or healing, healing different relationships or different wounds inside of yourself. It is there, so you call upon nature to give you understanding of the future and give you direction for the future.
All right.
Yeah, so they're going to be 2 days before we go out and 2 days after when we come back. So I assume that those 2 days are going to be very focused on setting the right intentions, prepping up the space really, with different rituals to prepare for the vision to arrive.
So that's the main reason for people, is to get that clarity
Yeah.
where to go forward.
It's very common, especially very common among men, and that's connected to, I mean, looking at the man and the woman very simply. You can talk about masculine and feminine energies. So the masculine energy is the doing, and the feminine energy is the being. And the masculine energy is the material. The feminine energy is the immaterial. Okay, so men have more masculine usually. Women have more feminine. So a man does not automatically, in the same way your conventional woman gets, a man does not automatically, because why you sit in silence and stillness is because it lets you sink into the feminine. Like, the feminine comes from, you cannot do the feminine, you have to be the feminine and really sink into it super slowly. And there in the feminine resides all of the knowledge that you need, all of the world's information, the subconscious layers, and as a man, because we have less of that, it's very common that a man several times during his life goes on a vision quest. So you go out, you can do it once a year, once every 2 years, 3 years, whenever you feel it's right for you, and when you need that direction and guidance. So whereas a woman tends to not need it in the same way. They can also go on vision quests, but they tend to not need it in the same way because they receive, as long as a woman is connected, of course, they will receive it instantly in the being. They will receive it in themselves over and over again. So they live much more connected to this than what we men do.
And how can a woman help a man? Have you seen this? Like when a woman helps a man find his purpose, or like that she can guide him to like step into his path.
Mm. Well,
or it's not her work, her job, or doesn't it happen?
A woman can help in numerous ways, but among them, I would say my wife right now has been we're doing a lot of work on this as well to understand, what is a relationship and what is a woman's role and a man's role, and something that we have learned through our own exploration. And I can recommend a book that she's read. It's called The Queen's Code by Alison Armstrong, which helps a woman from, it's basically a grandmother figure that speaks to younger women through this book. And it speaks in a woman language so that they understand it, they can receive it. Or at least that's what my wife Sophie says. And it's really helped her to understand her part in me. And one of the things that a woman can do is to be the feminine vessel for the man. So a man will always, I mean, you're a man as well, so you know that for us, we will always be, a part of us will always focus on building and doing. It's in a man's entire being and DNA. So, we will wake up and we will do things, and we will be using a lot of our masculine force to do that. And for us to then come home after our day of work, I mean, a lot of people work from home, but like stepping out of your productive hours, then meeting a woman who's also in her masculine is very tiring for us. Because then there's this like coming in, there's this like doing mode. A woman can help by really opening up her feminine vessel and allow for a man to just like really to die into the arms of the woman. Whether that be through just being together, having sex, really coming into this like amazing place where I can just like let go all these thoughts about doing and just like, bring me back into my body. And as a woman has much more of that power than a man, she can play that role in a relationship and be that vessel. This, of course, will take the woman to have to step out of her masculine, which she's been designed to do and programmed to do. So it's a big journey for a lot of women at the moment, where they believe that they have to do a lot, and not be.
Yeah.
And it's also due to other things. I mean, it requires a certain financial safety to be able to just be more than you do, and there's a lot of things here. But I would say there to allow for the man to be is one of the biggest things that and help a man down to be is one of the biggest things a woman can do. But also other things as well. A woman can challenge the man to really lead from the heart. Because deep down, I think if a man is not connected to his heart in what he does, everybody knows it. I can see immediately from speaking 1 minute with a man, probably less. This man is in his heart or not. I see it in the eyes, There's no ignition. So she can challenge the man, really, hey, my love, are you living your purpose right now? Is this really, is this really what you're here to do right now? What you're creating? Do you feel like you're waking up with this brimming fire of excitement to be alive and go out and create? Or what drives you right now? Because a man in his absolute power will also be the best man for the woman in the relationship. He will be the most sexual as well.
Yeah, this is beautiful.
Yeah.
I really agree. And I've been asking this question to a couple of close friends, like this is really personal. And the question is, can a man cry in front of his woman? And what I mean by that, so it doesn't seem like I'm a Stone Age guy here, is that what does crying play a part in men's development, or just being a man? And does he do that in front of his brothers or in front of his woman? Where do he seek comfort? Is that the role of a woman? And I just want to add on that I felt in several instances, because I've always presented myself as this strong man. I can, and strong, I don't mean that I'm emotionless. I'm really can display my emotions, but that I can always help. I can always serve. I can always be of assistance if there is something. But when it's time if there's something bothering me, like loss of my dad or something really, really hurting me, where do I seek comfort? Do I do that with my wife, or with my brothers, or with my close friends? Can you speak around that?
Absolutely. It's a great question. And I believe one that needs to be discussed quite a lot when we're talking about relationships. And I think one first must begin to answer that question. One must begin and ask, what do I want from my woman? Or what do I want from my relationship? Is my partner a friend? Is my partner a therapist? Is my partner a companion, as in, we are a team, we have maybe children together, or we might work together? And is my partner a lover, someone I fuck, or someone I have sex with? Okay, so looking at those four, so lover, friend, therapist, and companion. And I mean, there's this, usually this phrase that I hear all the time: my wife is my best friend, right? And everybody's like, yeah, amazing, sounds good, right? But is it though? Is it? Like, seriously? And I can speak from my own experience. Like, I remember with my current wife, I believed that a relationship meant that you opened up yourself like a wide open book about everything. I believe that was the path, that was the right way to go. So my woman is my best friend. She is the mother of my children. So we're companions and we're teamwork. And she is also my therapist. It's the place where I show and share everything about myself, everything about my deep wounds, and we cry together and we die together and we burn together in all of those places. And we also have sex. And of course, I mean, saying all this, I mean, they're all right. They are all four. They will always be. But what is the thing you want most? What do you prioritize? Is a big question to ask. If you want your woman to be your friend, then totally fine. Open up about everything. If you want her to be your lover and you want really good lovemaking, you got to make a couple of changes. You got to shift the priorities and shift your dynamic in order for her to be your lover. Yeah? To be the one you have sex with, and really good sex. So in that, I would advise to remove a lot of the burden from her from being your therapist. Not completely. I mean, of course, you have to be able to share and cry together. That's wonderful, actually, to come and open up yourself and be like fully vulnerable every now and then. But don't make her your trash can. Rather have, and that's why it's so important to have a group of men around you where you can vent and really, purge out whatever it is that you need to purge out, whether that's crying, being bitter, being your victimhood, whatever it is, right? And in the same way, when it comes to companionship, how are you working at home? How much do you rely on her to project lead a lot of the things in around the home? How much can you remove from her burden, her plate? I mean, obviously, I cannot remove her being the mother of my children. But right now, for instance, she wants us to install a bathtub. She wants to lie in the bath and work on her femininity. I was like, great. Then I can say, okay, let's go out together and go to Elgiganten and whatever, Big Max, and look at all of that, and then, work. Or I should say, I'll take care of it. And because the more I take away from her plate, the more she can become my lover. And personally, I have a lot of friends, I have a lot of therapists, only one person I fuck. And that's my woman. So in my case, that's what I'm interested in. And I'm always working to see how can I build as much of a lover energy into her as possible and between us.
We're still like living in some form of captivity. That's my feeling. Like you have your wife now, you have a child, and you are like this trio, and perhaps you're gonna have like more kids. And I read a book, like the best book I ever read about parenting. It's called Hunt, Gather, Parent. On the back of that book, what really got me mesmerized and wanted to read that book was that it said that 99% of the full human existence on this planet has never been the nuclear family. It has never been like mother, father, and the children.
Mm-hmm.
And we have always been like more people around this child. Like the African proverb, it takes a village to raise a child.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. And the most harmonious times in our lives are when we are with her sisters or with my brothers, and we are with their children or with friends that also have children, where we are many, many, many more adults. And there I also feel that she drops into her feminine much more quickly, like that. And I'm always like, with the men, we are doing whatever we are doing around midsummer, for example. We are out, we are lifting, we are like cutting down trees. The women, they are okay. It feels like really traditional. They are inside, they are cooking, they are preparing the meals. The kids are around there, yeah. So that's what I feel, is that we are within this container that is actually like not even working for us. And I heard in a podcast, Alexander Bard, whatever you think about him, I thought this was genius. I didn't know that he was heterosexual or whatever sexuality he has. He said that he's been happily together with his partner, a woman, and he has been living with other men for 24 years, and she has been living with other women for 24 years, and they're super happy. So I bet, like, on what you were saying, that they basically fuck together. They are lovers.
Yeah.
So they are not managing the project of houses, the bathtub, children, or whatever. Can you speak around like these thoughts, these ideas, that we are basically mating in a structure that is not inherently designed for us humans? I don't feel that this is a human experience we are having. And I heard that so much, like when we had our first kid, Love, he's now 8. Like within the first week, she was like crying and says like, this is not normal. And then speaking about like that she wanted her mother there. And I totally get that, 100%.
You bring up some important things here, Morgan. Like this is a topic that we're all scratching our heads. Like what the fuck is going on? Like what's happening with this nuclear family structure? It seems so overloaded, like you said, especially with children. It's so overloaded, and there's so much pressure, and there's such a pressure cooker in this in so many ways. There's such pressure on like this grinding, like first of all, to just be together all the time, man and woman. That in itself is unhealthy. Like to just like every day, it's like wear and tear experience of being together so much, and then also the lack of help and the support structure, which I think especially it affects all parents a lot, but I think for the mother especially so. I see what Sophie does with Hera, our daughter, and it's just like never ending. Like it's like not that they're not built for it, right? But I can see how much more closer support structure would help her. Maybe more mothers together. I know how much Öppna förskolan means to her. So she goes there every day and sings and whatever they do, right? I've been there a couple of times. Amazing. It's not much, but I think for her, like deep down, for her, it means so much. She's longing for it to start again because it's like a Christmas break now.
Yeah.
She meets with them like 2 hours a day and sits there. And I think it just shows that that's how mothers in tribes used to live. Whoever were mothers or in the motherhood, they just bundled together, and then you had the grandmothers there, and like everybody, and I'm sure there must have been ways for the main mother to just like say, hey, take my baby, I just need to go out for a while and just like be with myself and just reconnect. Now the lack of ability for Sophie to have any alone time, I can really see it must be damaging. But something we're also discussing is it due to her expectation of getting alone time that it is damaging? If you just completely surrender yourself and say, okay, for this next year, it's going to be nothing. accept me just being in this. Maybe that would have changed. So you have a lot of women raised around this idea of independence as well, especially here in the North. So that might
I
also be like,
totally agree
yeah.
100% about that, because I was also experienced that. Like, I have no alone time, and now I have 3 kids. And then I met a man in the woods. I always take my kids out in the woods. We make fire and we make food out in the woods. And he was like, yeah, when I got my 2 kids, I just like accepted that this is everything I'm doing. I'm just like having my kids, I'm doing the work, and there's nothing more. When he said that, there was like a burden lifted off my shoulders, because my expectations of going to do Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, or to meet my friends, or to go to Norway visiting Max, and all the things I want to do, because I have this energy, I want to do a lot of things. It's like, okay, I'm going to focus this on my kids. And that has like lifted such a burden. So I'm totally with you on that one. 100%.
Yeah, and I think we all have to check our assumptions or like our expectation levels to see what is it that we require right now from life. And I like what you said there. Once, as you said that, I was just also relaxing into it. It's like if you drop everything and just like, this is it. This is it right now. I'm not complaining though. Like personally, I think, or it's not true actually. I do some complaining every now and then. I do, especially around this. Well, it's not necessarily complaining, but what I notice is it. I need to install better structures for recovery because I do work a lot, and we're in a massive build-up phase, looking at about possibly about 100 people now joining the next training. So it's an amazing journey there, but it does of course take a lot of energy. And what used to be downtime, weekends, is now family time, and evenings there's like this like shared responsibility thing happening. So what I notice is like slowly there's this like slow deterioration of energy there that I just need to manage in a better way. So looking at how can I get better recovery processes in when I do recovery. My co-founder Daniel has bought a floating tank, so he
All
goes in.
right.
Yeah, so he does his meditation there. So like 20 minutes in a floating tank, or 30 minutes is like a full night's sleep.
All
So there's some
right.
things you can do to improve and up your game of recovery, which I will be looking at right now, so that I don't feel like I'm slowly descending into this like fraction of what I can deliver for my family and in the business. Because we're going to have probably another child. So there's a few more years of this process waiting. So I want to install some good routines there.
Yeah. But like, I'm also I've also been like thinking about it. How can I hack my sleep, my recovery? Been like having the Manta sleep mask, the blue blockers, nighttime, taping my mouth, sleeping in a cold room, yada yada yada. Like, biohacking has been like my game for over 20 years. So, but still, you get like just you get a huge bump in the road of biohacking, or your recovery, when you have kids.
Yeah.
And the biggest solution to this, and what I've been like preaching for like over 8 years with my wife, but she don't want to do it, is to get our asses out of this mama papa barn, mama daddy and kids structure, and move and create some form of community.
Yeah.
And in Sweden, I want to hear your take on this. Even if you raise your hand and you invite people to do this, to come into a community, to build a community, it's hard for people to be there, because our nervous system doesn't seem to um, to feel comfortable with having that much of support. We are supposed to be lone wolves, do everything by ourselves, or else we are like not worthy enough, or something like that. I don't know what the issue is. And we've been like inviting our home, opening up our home for people to connect, to come. But people are just like so busy in the rat race. They're gonna pay their bills, they're gonna do this and that, and we are just running around blindsided, I
Yeah.
feel.
Yeah. Well, the programs they run deep, inside of us. And I do agree that this, I mean, we've been talking about this. I think most people that have done, like, began to do, I think many people are now thinking about, well, is there a way to move together and live closer to friends and like more of a village style, or not necessarily together, like in a collective, but, you know, like
Yeah.
like live close together and have more of a community vibe to it. But there's something about, you know, you can definitely say that it's like, yeah. But the next step is actually doing it. And, you know, there usually falls to actually take the steps and move into that is a big journey for people, and including us. Like, because I also, like, I've been talking about this for years, but I'm still here in a, you know, a house that is on its own. And yeah,
We got
I
rooms in our house if you want to move in.
yeah, it's really that. But there's also something about, you know, really being able to be. I think we have to. I think be mindful of how we've been raised. I mean, we're all, I'm not your age, but like we're probably both between 30 and 40, you know, and we have been quite, you know, programmed. So we need to, like, based on our programming, you know, what is a good middle way. And I really believe like moving closer together is a good first step. Like buying houses in the same area, like so you're closer to each other, and or choosing a path or choosing a place where you can build. So you have this like integrity angle as well, where you can actually
Yeah.
live like you have your own house and that's ours, and you can like be there without connecting with others. But then there's an ease and smoothness towards just joining others, shared dinner table, shared house for community activities, or, you know, something along those lines. So I think that is a perfect middle way. At least
Yeah.
that's how we are resonating.
Yeah, I totally agree. So maybe in the future we'll see like soul community housing, where
We
you have
think,
your own thing, because
yeah,
you have the reach to connect with men and women. Collect like some form of interest list. Who
yeah.
would be interested in this? And then from there, see what would the financial part be of it to actually create it, and where would it be. So I know one of your guys on Soul is actually starting to build this in Norway.
Yeah, Snorre.
Yeah, Snorre.
Yeah, they've been working now. I mean, they that's a really fascinating project because they're building not only one community but three.
Yeah.
So, from what I gather, they're going to build one on the Azores.
What's that?
Azorena, so the Azores. It's like in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean,
All right, all right.
and they're going to be in one down in Ibiza or Portugal, and then one in Norway. And what they're trying to build is, I think there are 85 people so far who are like seriously interested in it. And they want to create this way where you can actually move between the three.
Mm,
So, you know, you can relocate, and they're building this like housing situation where you can like switch out, you know, something along that line to create
yeah,
not only the village thing, but also this other thing that everybody wants, which is to be able to get out of the north during the winter
yeah,
and come down to, and maybe some of the surfers or the guys from Azores, or like from Ibiza or Portugal, want to come up a couple of months, you know, to Oslo or like to Norway in the middle of the winter and experience like proper winter as an you know, exchange there. So they're working on something really exciting.
super interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm super excited to see where he takes that.
yeah.
So cool. And so we are rounding up, but I would like to ask you this question. So, if there's one piece of advice you'd give to every man listening, what would it be?
Yeah. Yeah. Know that you're not alone. Know that there are others out there who is doing the work. We are all on an adventure. And yeah, just know you might feel alone, but you are not alone. We're all in this together. And we're building something. We're reshaping the modern man, and we're bringing the modern man back into power once again. So yeah, I want to send those words.
Beautiful, powerful. Love that. And I want to thank you so much for being here on the show, sharing your insights. It's been like super valuable, and I really feel that you're a man that wants to provide value, and you are doing like such an amazing and super important work in this world now. And I want to send our listeners to Soul. So where can listeners learn more about you and Soul?
Well, at the moment, we are the best way to go is either go to seol.center, so seol.center, and there, if you're interested in the program, we meet everybody who's interested in a one-on-one call, and it's nothing like it's a free call where you can you will actually get some coaching from us. So we're going to look at your personal profile and trying to get give you some real value directly in the call. And in that call, we also assess whether we're a good match for each other, whether the timing is right for this. And once you've filled in the form, you're going to get email with all of the information about the program. So the website itself is relatively, at the moment, light and trimmed, but and most of it sits behind that email that you get once you fill in the form. So I would advise anyone who's interested to know more and learn more to sign up, and book a call with us, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, and we'll put the link to Soul Center in the show notes. So check that out. And for now, thank you, Fabian. This has been like super fruitful. Enjoyed like every second. You've seen me like just hanging on every word.
I really want to thank you, Morgan, and I want to give you really you are a really nice person to talk to. I can feel your genuine interest and passion and curiosity, and I'm excited to be on this show with you, and looking forward to following you as well in your journey.
Yeah, let's connect again for sure.
Let's connect.
Awesome. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, brother.
Talk soon.